Ideal Protein is a doctor-designed, coach-led ketogenic weight loss protocol that uses food as medicine to empower you to lose weight and live your healthiest life.
And welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Weekly Show, a podcast brought to you by the Livingston Parish News. This is Group Therapy. It's a time where I get to sit down with my fellow editors here at the Livingston Parish News, and we talk about what's going on here in Livingston Parish. That's a lot of Livingston parishes. First and foremost, we want to start off the show by apologizing for last week. Came back after quite a big break. COVID, holidays kind of threw us off a little bit. Had to recalibrate our microphone, so we do apologize for that. This week's show probably going to be a lot cleaner than last week's. We do hope that is the case, and so far, based on some tests, we're going to be nice and clear, and we want to thank those individuals that reached out to us and said, hey, y'all got a little bit of a sound issue. So thank you to our viewers for that. First and foremost, we're going to get down with the introductions, and we're going to start on the viewers' right, my right.
Hey, this is David Gray, lifestyle editor with the news.
And on the left.
Hey, this is Rob DeArmond. I'm the sports editor at the Livingston Parish News.
David is also a staff writer and news reporter.
Oh, yeah.
Here at the news. So we are going to start off today. We're going to do it a little different. We're going to start off with some sports. And first and foremost, I do want to talk about, it was the last thing you brought up sort of in our pre-show, but I want to bring it up first. Kind of an interesting story out of French Settlement. Bit of a family affair in the basketball arena. Lots older brother scoring, younger brother scoring, and the sister scoring. Tell us a little bit about that family.
This is just one of those deals they've had. This is from the Allison family. They've had a couple guys come through, and that they just. It's funny because there's been at least one Allison as long as since I started here. So we've had at least one, but. Edward's kind of come up. He's been kind of the guy, one of the point guard for the boys basketball team. I just got through writing this stuff and posting this stuff, but last night they wound up the boys wound up beating Capital 72-33. French Settlement hits 13 3-pointers in that game, and here's the Springfield hit 17 in a game earlier this year too, by the way. So they're playing well too.
So the influence of Steph Curry is finding its way down into high school basketball.
That's it, man.
But 32 minutes in a game, correct?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one. Yeah. Basically one every 2 minutes. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. The deal here is it was a good night for the Allison family. Maxwell Allison scores 18 for French Settlement, and he hit all of that was all on 3-pointers. 6 3-pointers. Edward, who's the older brother, has 15. He hits 2. And that's just in the boys' game. In the girls' game, Stella, who's younger sister, she hits 29 points. And let me find that score. Going real slow here. 65-37 over Hannon, but she hits 29 points. So it was a good night for the Allisons last night.
Wow. Yeah, quite the family affair. We have some all pair stuff to talk about, but first we're gonna jump to David. But after we talk about you were on hand for Denham Live Oak last night. Both teams kind of slowing it down.
Yeah.
Really grinding out. I believe Denham came out on top by 5.
It was 2.
2.
Yeah.
So it came down to the wire. Yeah. Real great game. Tell us a little bit about that.
They kind of like I said, they come in. It was game plan for both of them. They kind of go half court, kind of slow it down a little bit. I think it was 10-9 after the end of the first quarter, and then they kind of hit a lull. It was about the middle of the second quarter before anybody scored, and I think that was on some free throws. But it comes down to Live Oak makes a little run there. They get it down there. They got a couple chances to hit a basket. They missed, I think, 2 chances down there. Then there's a travel called late in the game, and I think there was 3.1 seconds. They get it technical. Jordan Reams from Denham hits 1 free throw, and then they get the ball back. He gets fouled on that, and he winds up missing the last 2. So he goes 1 for 4 from the line, but they wind up winning by 2. And it's like I told him, there's not a lot of scoring. You might look at it and say, well, man, that doesn't look fun at all. But it was, it's Denham and Live Oak. You got the intensity, you got the crowd, you got the student sections going back and forth, and it was a really good game, And I'll bring this up. Last year, it went the other way with Live Oak at CB. We getting a tip in at the buzzer to beat Denham by 1, I believe. So it's, like I said in my story, if you go read it, they kind of, mastered the art of the nail biter when these two teams get together at CB Wheat. So, and they'll meet again. That was a non-district game. They'll meet again in the last game of the season, I believe, over at Denham.
Wow.
So
that'll be a district
and that'll
game?
be a district game.
Oh, isn't that interesting how that
Yeah.
works? So, okay, well, we're going to come back to you for the all-parish stuff. We're going to jump over to David real quick. And first and foremost, want to talk about one of the centerpieces of the front page. The Denham Springs community, specifically the education community, suffered a pretty tough loss, but quite a storied legacy for this lady who had taught at Denham Springs Elementary for quite a number of years, over a 50-year education career, correct?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about Miss Scott.
Yeah, Miss Sarah Scott, written stories on her in the past whenever she reached 50 years of teaching, and when she retired in the 2017-18 school year. She, like you said, she taught for 50 years. The majority, 47 of those years, were at Denham Elementary, and since 1981, it was kindergarten. So for, however many years that is, I mean, just dealing with the beginning learners. So it was just, a lot of patience, I imagine, if you're teaching kindergarten for that long. But yeah, she passed away on January 19th, 76 years old. But yeah, and one of the things that really, stood out about Miss Scott is she was a teacher for her whole life as a career, but that's also really what she did in her community. I mean, there was really never anything she did where she wasn't teaching. She ran a summer camp every year called Camp Empowerment that drew a lot of kids. In her spare time, she did this Jumpstart to first grade program that she would do before school year. So like help students who were transitioning from kindergarten to first grade who needed that little bit of extra help. She would do that a few weeks before each school year. And she was very involved with school board meetings, back in her earlier teaching days. Just what you would want from a teacher, basically, is what Miss Scott was. And like you said, she was quite a big important figure. I mean, she was one of the first African American teachers to teach white students after integration in 1970. So I mean, her legacy goes back that far, and she was always striving to get to make sure that her students, even when she was at West Livingston High, the parish's African American school, making sure that her kids got the same education that she received when she was a student at West Livingston High. So I mean, just the impact, 50 years. I mean, you can see if you look online at the story, I mean, the comments that people have been posting about her, how much of a difference she made on their lives. You can see that this woman meant a great deal to a great number of people.
I wanted to bring that up. I'm glad you said it, because that was one of the most interesting things I saw, was when we posted this story and the number of people either commenting on it or sharing it with a comment of just, how impactful she had been on their lives. So a big loss for the Denham community and the education community, but she had given back quite a bit.
Yeah, and she, I know she didn't get to see the new Denham Elementary, because like you said, she was at Denham Elementary for 47 years. So her last years teaching were at the temporary campus that was next to our building, and so she never got to see the new Denham Elementary that just opened earlier this month. But she did see it on a news report that her granddaughter did. Her granddaughter, Rachel Riley, works for BR Proud, NBC 33, and she did a report on Denham Elementary when they opened. And so her grandmother was actually able to see the new school through a report that her granddaughter did. So I mean, just kind of a cool family thing.
Oh yeah, that's got to be special. Awesome. I did not make that connection.
No,
but now
I didn't know that either. I just learned.
Shout out to
today.
Miss Riley at BR Proud.
That's fantastic.
That's really cool. Yeah. So staying in the education realm, going to the school board, we do have a new chair and vice chair of the school board, correct?
Yes. Cecil Harris and Jeffrey Cox. excuse me, Cecil Harris was voted president, and Jeffrey Cox was voted vice president in the last school board meeting.
Gotcha. And that as we discussed before the meeting, the job of the chair is to kind of keep the meeting going. But otherwise, not much different than most other board members.
Yeah.
So going to be interesting to see what happens in Mr. Cecil Harris's year, which will be 2022.
Yes.
And hopefully not the second 2020. A new year that is 2022 by itself, and we can maybe get past COVID, or at least find a better way to deal with it. What else you got going on?
Well, we had the big story last week was the two gentlemen that were arrested in connection to the armed robbery of an 87-year-old Holden man. That was the biggest story we've had in a long time. Just I think. Whenever we posted the story initially, you see an 87-year-old man that has bruises around both eyes, cut on his forehead. That's something that's going to tug at the heartstrings of a lot of people. And basically, this man in Holden was at his home when a gentleman came up to him, mugged him, basically beat him, allegedly, we should say, and threatened to shoot him if he did not lead him to, I guess, a stash of money and valuables that he had. And so that story was last Monday when that incident happened. We posted the story. All the local media outlets ended up posting the story and ended up getting thousands of shares for all the media outlets. I mean, it was a huge story. And then Friday, the sheriff's office made 2 arrests. One, John Bailey, who is based on his charges, it's believed that he's the one who allegedly did it. He is charged with second degree murder and armed robbery. And then there's another gentleman named Raman Laurent who was charged with accessory to an armed robbery. So I mean, yeah, the 4 days the sheriff's office was able to find this person based off a tip that was given to Crime Stoppers. So I mean, it just kind of shows that sometimes, whenever they get the word out on these incidents, that sometimes, more eyeballs is able to lead to a capture of people who commit these crimes.
Yeah. We've had Mr. Woody Overton in here, who kind of does a lot of, I guess you can call it through his podcast, sort of crowdsourcing tips. And he has always said, he's dealing, had helped with a case, I believe, over in the Lafayette area recently. But he is
West Baton Rouge, I believe.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Rouge. That's right. And he's come in here to talk about Barbara Blunt before, and they usually get a new round of tips. So please remember, if you see a crime or you see us posting something on Livingston Parish News, you have a tip, you can always call Crime Stoppers. Sometimes you never know; the smallest thing may lead to an arrest. Staying in sort of the judicial arena, Miss Melanie Curtin, who was found guilty around Christmas time or right after, before.
Yes.
Excuse me. I got to tell y'all out there listening right now, Christmas was a weird time I know for a lot of people. A lot of people I've spoken to personally had a weird Christmas season, but so did we. So anyway, before Christmas, found guilty, but her sentencing trial has been postponed.
Yes. It was supposed to be this past Monday, the January 24th. It is now February 17th, and her attorney requested that it be postponed, and that was signed off by Judge Brian Abelson as official. Her attorney requested that it be postponed because they have a certain number of days that they have to, in order before sentencing, to be able to to be able to file any post-trial motions. And in his motion to postpone the sentencing, he said that he plans on filing a motion for, let me find it exactly what the wording is, for a new trial and for a post-verdict judgment of acquittal. So that's something that John McClendon, her attorney, kind of hinted at after the trial initially in early December. He said that he was going to look into the possibility of filing a motion for a new trial. But that request was granted, and the reason why he said that that he needed more time is because he had some people in his office who would have been filing those motions. They had COVID after the trial, so they had to quarantine, which delayed them being able to work. So that was his reasoning for it. So, but like I said, it was granted. So February 17th is her new sentencing date. But we'll see if before then if he files a motion for a new trial or not.
Of course, you'll be following along right with them to see what happens there. So last but certainly not least, we're going to jump back over to Rob, who's going to run us through the all-parish volleyball team real quick to wrap up the show.
It's been a while. We voted on this team back in November, I believe, right after the season ended. And my apologies. Thank you, COVID, for kind of pushing this back. It usually doesn't get put out this late. I'm going to run through the superlative honors. Kate Beattie from Denham Springs was the offensive MVP. Chloe McGee from Live Oak was the best all-around player. Daly Hughes from Springfield was the best defensive player or defensive player of the year. And Ashley Burns from Doyle was the coach of the year. With the coach of the year, we started looking at it, and Ashley's sitting right next to me during the meeting, and it's like, hey, Ashley, you got anybody? And Doyle, if you guys weren't familiar, it was their first year playing volleyball. They did a JV schedule. They had an A team and a B team, so there were two different teams. So Ashley was pretty quiet, and I didn't realize it till I got on the phone with her. You know, she didn't realize kind of what we were doing. She said, I thought originally that we were going to kind of set schedules, and I kind of felt bad. I said, I didn't do what I was supposed to do and tell you what was going on. But I would look, I was like, you got anybody? And she just, no. And then we got to the end. I was like, we coach of the year. And the coaches just kind of looked around, and they said, hey, if you start a program, you should be coach of the year. Right. So that's kind of what happened. And for her, Ashley just turned 21. She's a student at Southeastern. And for her, it was just kind of like, you know, these are all coaches, you know, she's either played against or they've coached her. So for her, it was one of those big honors. You know, these are all kind of idols of hers in the coaching community, and they selected her the coach of the year. So, you know, like I said, she's 21. And I found out in talking to her that next year they were supposed to stay JV for 2 years. They're going up to varsity next year. So that's going to be, you know, when other sports Doyle is moving up to 3A. They're going to be Division 4, I believe, in volleyball, but they're going to go up to they're going to have varsity and varsity squad and a JV squad this year. So found that out in the course of this. For the others, all of these, the underlying thing when I talked to each one of these players, it was these are all goals that each one of them had set. You know, Daly Hughes had said she said she looked at it. She's a senior. She's graduating, but you know, she looked at it. She said, "Hey, I can do this." And same with Kate and Chloe. The cool thing about Kate and Chloe, they're both juniors, so they'll be coming back. So you know what happened was. The coaches didn't do the overall MVP, but when we started looking at numbers, and I strictly left it up to them, Kate Beattie had 200 kills, and Chloe McGee just had some all-around stats, but she stays on the court, plays all the way around. So we're trying to find a way to honor both of them because you didn't want to leave anybody out. So so they threw up the overall MVP, and that's how Chloe got it. She plays all the way around. And like I said, they'll be back. Those two will be back next year. So it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of pans out. For Daly Hughes, she's, I just wanted to throw this out. We're talking, and I said, how tall are you? And if you've seen Springfield play, I know David has, she's 4'11". And then the next thing she said on the tape was like, you want to know my vertical? And I said, that's where we're going. So she's 23.6. on the vertical. So she said at one point she actually had a referee come up and say, next, if I get y'all again, I got to check your shoes because I don't know if I can allow springs. But that's just, it's something that she's worked for, she's worked on the craft, you know, and she's playing libero. They had moved her to an outside hitter. She thought that's where she was going to stay. And then they said, let's move some stuff around. We're going to put you back at libero. And she kind of found a home. And that's where she settled in. You know, it's just really good to talk to all of these players. And like I said, I apologize that it took so long to get it there, but stuff was happening.
It was a crazy holiday season, as we discussed. But you got it out. That's what's important. It's about the kids. And want to emphasize with folks. We've talked about this before. And this has always been the position since we started the all parish teams. The coaches pick these. Yeah,
this is
like all district teams.
And I told the kids when I sit back. The last couple of times we've done it at Sombreros, and basically I sit back and eat tacos and count boats, and I let them kind of go, and just I don't influence anything. I just say, hey, You know, I let them nominate. They come back and say, "Here's who we have." It's not me. This is all the coaches, and I stress that in my stories too. This is all selected by the coaches.
Right. So, I believe that does it for today.
I think so.
Quite expeditious. So, we're going to do our introductions real quick, and this time we're going to start on the viewers left.
Hey, this is Rob DeArmond, the sports hitter here at the Livingston Parish News.
And this is David Gray, lifestyle editor, news writer with the Livingston Parish News.
There you go.
There you go.
Getting into it. And my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. We appreciate you guys joining us this time. Please, 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 if you do hear distortions or problems with the sound, let us know. We want to make sure that we don't have that in the future. We want to get it fixed if it is a problem. Sometimes I might not see it or hear it, I guess you can say, until it's processed and I've uploaded it. So please, 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 if you see stuff like that, please reach out. We want to thank those of you who made comments this last time. Hopefully we got it fixed. We want to remind folks that the Livingston Parish News is on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We are once a week in print on Thursdays at $7 a month to get that in your mailbox. We're also online, www.livingstonparishnnews.com. We appreciate you joining us. We're glad. The second show of the year under our belt. Going to try to be a little more consistent than we were over the holiday season, and we will see you next time.